When billionaire CEO Roman Castellano takes his overlooked assistant Celeste to a charity gala, he has no idea he's about to witness the most stunning transformation of his life. What starts as a simple work arrangement becomes a night that changes everything. Welcome, cherished viewers. Tonight's chapter is woven with passion, betrayal, and the kind of love that changes everything. Let's dig in. Asterisk. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead like dying insects as Celeste Morgan adjusted her thick-framed glasses for the 100th time that morning. The marble lobby of Castellano Industries stretched before her like a cathedral of commerce. All cold surfaces and echoing footsteps. Her oversized gray cardigan swallowed her small frame. Her dark hair was pulled back in the same merciless bun she'd worn every single day for 3 years. At 26, she had perfected the art of being invisible. The elevator's brass. Buttons gleamed under harsh light as she pressed 52, her heart performing its familiar dance of anxiety. 3 years of mornings like this. 3 years of being treated like expensive office furniture. 3 years of watching the most powerful man in New York barely acknowledge her existence beyond the tasks that kept his world spinning. Roman Castellano stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, broad shoulders filling out his custom Italian suit like armor. At 32, he commanded respect and fear in equal measure. His steel-gray eyes missed nothing in the business world, yet somehow never truly saw the woman who managed every detail of his complicated life. Celeste knocked softly, the sound barely audible above the city's distant roar. "Your schedule for today, Mr. Castellano?" she said quietly, placing the perfectly prepared espresso on his mahogany desk alongside a detailed itinerary. Her hands trembled slightly as she set down the papers. Roman glanced up briefly, his eyes sliding over her like she was part of the furniture. "Cancel the 3 o'clock with Peterson. Move the board meeting to tomorrow." "Already done, sir." "I anticipated you might want more time to review the Morrison acquisition files." For a moment, Roman paused. Her efficiency never ceased to amaze him, though he rarely acknowledged it. The woman was always 3 steps ahead, anticipating his needs before he voiced them. It was unsettling and invaluable. "Fine. Anything else requiring my immediate attention?" Celeste hesitated, clutching her leather portfolio tighter. The invitation had arrived that morning, elegant script on cream paper that felt expensive between her fingers. "The Children's Hospital Charity Gala tomorrow night. Your regular companion, Ms. Winters, canceled this morning due to a family emergency." Roman's jaw tightened. The annual gala was crucial for maintaining his company's philanthropic image. Arriving alone would spark gossip in the social circles he navigated purely for business purposes. "Would you like me to arrange for another escort?" Celeste asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Roman turned back to the window, watching the city spread below him like a conquered kingdom. He made decisions worth millions every day, but this one felt different. Dangerous. "No need," he said after a long pause. "You'll accompany me." The portfolio slipped from Celeste's hands, papers scattering across the Persian rug like fallen leaves. She stared at his back, certain she'd misheard. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't think I heard correctly." "You heard perfectly." Roman's voice carried that tone of finality she knew so well. "You know, all my business associates understand the deals we're working on and can handle any conversation that might arise." "It makes perfect sense." Perfect sense. The words echoed in the vast office as Celeste knelt to gather the scattered papers, her hands shaking now for entirely different reasons. The corporate credit card felt like a weapon in Celeste's trembling hands as she stood outside Bergdorf Goodman. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Fifth Avenue, and she could feel the weight of curious stares from passers-by. She had never spent more than $50 on a single piece of clothing in her entire life. "May I help you?" A perfectly groomed sales associate named Miranda approached. Her smile professional, yet tinged with surprise at Celeste's appearance. "I need something for the Children's Hospital Charity Gala tomorrow night," Celeste managed, her voice barely audible above the store's ambient music. Miranda's demeanor shifted instantly. The Charity Gala was one of New York's most exclusive events, attended by politicians, celebrities, and titans of industry. Of course. Let's find you something absolutely perfect. What followed was 3 hours of complete transformation. Miranda selected a stunning midnight blue gown that revealed curves Celeste had spent years hiding beneath shapeless cardigans. The silk fabric shimmered with subtle elegance, sophisticated yet breathtaking. Now for the finishing touches, Miranda declared, leading her to the accessories department. But Celeste's real secret lay deeper than clothing. As she stood in the fitting room, staring at her reflection, memories she'd buried for years began to surface. The dancing lessons her grandmother had insisted on.
The etiquette class.
The languages she'd learned in secret, practicing accents until they were flawless, all of it hidden beneath her carefully constructed mask of invisibility. She had reasons for hiding, dangerous ones. The next morning, Celeste called in sick for the first time in 3 years. She spent the entire day at a luxury salon Miranda had recommended, where a team of stylists worked their magic. Her long, dark hair was freed from its perpetual bun and styled in soft waves that cascaded over her shoulders. The thick glasses were replaced with contact lenses that revealed stunning emerald eyes. As the makeup artist worked, Celeste closed her eyes and let herself remember who she used to be. Before the running, before the fear, before Roman Castellano's world became her refuge. When she looked in the mirror that evening, she barely recognized herself. The woman staring back was confident, beautiful, radiant. But more than that, she was dangerous.
Ow!
And for the first time in 3 years, she felt like herself again. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We know where you are, Celeste. Time to come home." Her blood turned to ice as she stared at the message. They had found her. After 3 years of careful invisibility, one night of stepping into the light had exposed her. She deleted the message with shaking fingers and applied her lipstick with steady hands. If tonight was going to be her last night of freedom, she would make it count. The Plaza Hotel's lobby glittered like a jeweled cave as she stepped inside, her heels clicking against the marble floors with newfound confidence. Roman stood in the Plaza Hotel's lobby, checking his watch with growing impatience. His assistant was late, which was completely unlike her. Several business associates had already approached him, and he needed someone who could navigate these conversations intelligently. The elevator chimed, and he looked up, expecting to see Celeste in her usual dowdy attire, probably apologizing profusely for her tardiness. Instead, he saw a goddess. The woman approaching him moved with liquid grace, her midnight blue gown catching the light with every step. Her emerald eyes sparkled with intelligence and something else he couldn't identify. Hidden depths, dangerous secrets. "Excuse me, are you Roman Castellano?" Her voice was familiar, but everything else about her was transformed. Roman's mouth went dry. "I'm sorry, do we know each other?" She smiled, and something shifted in his chest like tectonic plates rearranging. "It's me, Mr. Castellano, Celeste. Your assistant." The world tilted on its axis. This goddess was his mousy secretary. The woman he had barely noticed for 3 years was standing before him, looking like she had stepped off the cover of Vogue. "Celeste," he said her name like he was tasting wine, testing how it sounded on his tongue. "You look different." "Hope that's not a problem, sir?" But Roman wasn't listening. He was studying her face, searching for the woman he thought he knew. The bone structure was the same, but everything else had changed. How had he been so blind? This incredible creature had been right beside him for 3 years, and he had never truly seen her. As they entered the ballroom together, Roman noticed every head turn. Men stared at Celeste with obvious admiration, while their wives whispered behind silk fans. For the first time in his life, Roman felt possessive about a woman. "Mr. Castellano, wonderful to see you," Senator Harrison approached with his wife. "And who is this lovely lady?" "It's Senator Harrison. I'd like you to meet Celeste Morgan, companion for the evening." Roman's hand found the small of Celeste's back, sending electricity through both of them. But as his fingers pressed against the silk, he felt something else. A small raised mark on her skin, a scar. Celeste smiled graciously and immediately engaged the senator's wife in conversation about the hospital's new pediatric wing, speaking with wit and knowledge that commanded attention. But Roman's mind was elsewhere, cataloging the small details. He'd missed for 3 years. The way she held herself wasn't learned overnight. This was breeding, education, a world he recognized, but had never associated with his quiet assistant. Her accent, now that he was truly listening, had subtle European inflections that surfaced when she was relaxed. Who was Celeste Morgan, really? When the orchestra began playing, Roman surprised himself by asking, "Would you care to dance?" As they moved onto the dance floor, he pulled her close, breathing in her subtle perfume. Something French and expensive that no secretary could afford. "You're full of surprises tonight," he murmured against her ear. "I'm the same person I've always been, Mr. Castellano. Perhaps you're just seeing me for the first time." Her words hit him like a revelation, but they also raised questions. Dangerous questions. As they swayed to the music, Roman found himself studying every detail of her face. Her eyes held depths he had never noticed, intelligence and kindness that had always been there, but also something else, fear carefully hidden but unmistakably present. "Tell me about yourself, Celeste, the real you." For the first time, she laughed freely, and the sound was like music. But there was sadness in it too, the weight of secrets that threatened to crush them both. "There's more to discover than you might imagine, Mr. Castellano." Across the ballroom, a man in an expensive suit watched them dance. He raised a glass of champagne in a mock toast, his smile cold as winter. Then he pulled out his phone and typed a single message: "Target acquired." The champagne tasted like poison on Celeste's tongue as she spotted him across the crowded ballroom. Viktor Kozlov stood near the bar, his pale eyes fixed on her like a predator watching prey. 3 years of hiding, and he had found her in a single night. Celeste. Roman's voice seemed to come from far away. "Are you all right?" She forced a smile, her training kicking in like muscle memory. "Just tired. It's been a long evening." But Roman wasn't fooled. He had built an empire by reading people, and the woman in his arms had just transformed from relaxed to terrified in the space of a heartbeat. "Who is he?" Roman's voice was low, dangerous. He had followed her gaze and spotted Viktor immediately. "I don't know what you mean." "Don't lie to me, Celeste. You've gone white as a ghost." Before she could answer, Viktor was beside them, his smile as sharp as broken glass. "Celeste Volkov? Or do you prefer Morgan these days?" The false name hit Roman like a physical blow. Even her name was a lie. "Viktor," Celeste said, her voice steady despite the terror in her eyes. "I didn't expect to see you here. Your father sends his regards. He's been worried sick about his little princess." Roman felt the pieces clicking into place. The breeding, the languages, the expensive tastes she tried so hard to hide. Volkov. Russian nobility, old money, its dangerous connections. "My father and I have nothing to discuss," Celeste said, but her hands were trembling now. Viktor's laugh was like ice cracking. "Oh, but you're wrong, little bird. You see, your disappearance caused quite a stir. Diplomatic incidents, broken alliances. People died because of your selfishness. That's enough." Roman's voice cut through, the ballroom chatter like a blade. Viktor turned his attention to him for the first time, and Roman saw recognition flash in those pale eyes. Ah, the famous Roman Castellano. "Tell me, do you know what your precious assistant really is?"
What?
"She's done?" "I know she's under my protection," Roman said, moving closer to Viktor. "Your protection?" Viktor laughed again.
Act.
"She's been using you, Castellano. Did you really think it was coincidence that the daughter of Dmitry Volkov ended up as your assistant? You've been marked for 3 years and you never even knew it." The words hit Roman like bullets. He turned to Celeste, searching her face for denial, for explanation, for anything that would make this nightmare stop. All he saw was guilt. "Roman, I can explain," she whispered. "Can you?" His voice was arctic. "Can you explain why the daughter of a Russian arms dealer has been managing my schedule, my meetings, my entire life?" The ballroom around them seemed to fade as the truth crashed down. Every conversation she'd overheard, every document she'd handled, every secret she'd been privy to. She had been perfectly positioned to destroy everything he'd built. "It wasn't like that," Celeste said desperately. Not after the first few months. I stayed to hide, not to spy. But you did spy, Victor interjected smoothly. The Morrison acquisition, the Peterson deal, the senator's son's indiscretions, all of it flowed back to Moscow through you. No, Celeste's voice broke. I stopped sending information 2 years ago. I told them nothing. Nothing. Victor smiled. What about tonight? What about the Yamamoto contract hidden in your boss's safe? The one that would give Castellano Industries access to military-grade technology? Roman's blood turned to ice. The Yamamoto contract was classified, known only to him and to other people. If the Russians had that information, it could trigger an international incident. You knew, he said to Celeste, his voice dead. You knew what tonight would cost me. I didn't know they would come for me here, she whispered. I thought I was safe. Safe. Roman's laugh was bitter. You used me for 3 years, made me trust you, made me feel something for you, and all of it was a lie. Not all of it, she said, tears streaming down her cheeks now. My feelings for you were real. They were the only real thing in my life. But Roman was already walking away, his back straight and unforgiving. The most powerful man in New York had been played by his own assistant, and the humiliation burned through him like acid. Victor's hand closed around Celeste's wrist like a shackle. Time to come home, little bird. Father is waiting. Roman sat in his penthouse office at 3 in the morning, staring at the city lights that had once seemed like stars in his conquered sky. The Yamamoto contract lay open on his desk, its classified pages mocking him. How much had she cost him? How deep did the betrayal go? His phone buzzed with an encrypted message. She's been taken. Warehouse District. Come alone or she dies. You have 1 hour. He should have deleted it. Should have called the FBI. Should have let Celeste Volkov face the consequences of her lies. But the memory of her tears, the genuine terror in her voice when she said, my feelings for you were real, haunted him. The warehouse squatted like a metal beast against the Hudson River, its windows dark and broken. Roman entered through the side door, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Victor waited in the center of the floor, flanked by 2 men in expensive suits. Celeste knelt between them, her gown torn, blood trickling from a cut on her lip. Punctual as always, Castellano, Victor called out. I do admire American efficiency. Let her go, Roman said, his voice carrying across the empty space. Her go? Victor laughed. She's stolen 3 years from her family. 3 years of intelligence, of loyalty, of duty. Do you know what that costs in our world? Roman moved closer, keeping his hands visible. What do you want? The Yamamoto contract? The real one, not the decoy in your safe? We know about the amendment, the one that gives you access to their quantum encryption technology. The blood in Roman's veins turned to ice water. There was no way they could know about the amendment unless someone had been in his private study, seen the documents he kept in his personal safe. Someone with access to his penthouse. Someone he trusted. But not Celeste. The timeline was wrong. The amendment had been added just last week while she was in the hospital with what he'd thought was appendicitis. It was never about the contract. He realized aloud, you needed me to trust her completely, to give her access to everything. The gala was just the end game. Victor's smile widened. Very good. Though I must say, she did develop inconvenient feelings for you, made the extraction more complicated than necessary. Roman, don't, Celeste whispered, struggling against the zip ties binding her wrists. Whatever he's asking, don't give it. To him, always noble. Our little princess, Victor said, backhanding her across the face. Tell him, Celeste. Tell him what happens if he doesn't cooperate. They'll kill you, she said, meeting Roman's eyes. Whatever I was supposed to steal, whatever this is about, they'll kill you when they get it. Roman pulled out his phone and opened the encrypted folder containing the amendment. His finger hovered over the send button. With one touch, he could give Victor everything and watch Celeste disappear forever into a world of shadow and violence. Or he could choose differently. You want the contract? Roman said, holding up the phone. Come and take it. He threw the device across the warehouse. Floor, where it skittered toward a stack of oil drums. Victor's men moved instantly, but Roman was already running toward Celeste. He tackled the man holding her, sending them both sprawling across the concrete. "The phone!" Victor screamed. "Get the phone!" But Roman had triggered the security protocol. The moment the device left his hand, every file on it began encrypting itself with military-grade security. By the time Victor's men reached it, the phone would be nothing but an expensive paperweight. "You stupid, sentimental fool," Victor snarled, drawing a gun from his jacket. "You've destroyed us both." "Maybe," Roman said, helping Celeste to her feet. "But at least we'll go down together." Victor's shot went wide as the warehouse suddenly blazed with searchlights. FBI agents poured through every entrance, their weapons trained on the Russians. Roman had triggered more than just an encryption protocol when he threw his phone. As Victor was dragged away in handcuffs, he called out to Celeste, "This isn't over, little bird. Father never forgets a debt." Later, as dawn painted the sky pink over Manhattan, Roman and Celeste sat on a bench in Central Park. Her designer gown was ruined, her makeup smeared, her carefully styled hair falling around, her shoulders like dark water. "My real name is Celeste Volkova," she said quietly. "My father is Dmitry Volkov, and yes, he deals in arms and information. I was supposed to seduce you, steal your secrets, and disappear. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with a man who saw me as more than just a weapon." Roman was quiet for a long time, watching joggers begin their morning routines. "The appendicitis. I was shot. Victor's people trying to remind me of my obligations. And you still didn't give them what they wanted. I gave them enough to keep myself alive. Nothing that would truly hurt you." She turned to face him, her emerald eyes bright with unshed tears. "I know you'll never trust me again. I know what I've cost us both. But I need you to know that loving you was the first honest thing I'd done in years." Roman reached into his jacket and pulled out a passport. Not American, not Russian, but Canadian. New name, new life, new start. "The FBI will relocate you, keep you safe from your father's reach. And you," she whispered, "I'll rebuild again. It's what I do." She stood up slowly, the passport clutched in her trembling hands. "In another life, do you think we could have been happy?" Roman looked at her, this beautiful, broken, dangerous woman who had turned his world upside down and somehow made it better in the process. "In another life," he said, "we might have ruled the world together." Celeste smiled, and for a moment she was neither spy nor victim, neither Volkov nor Morgan, but simply herself. "Goodbye, Roman. Goodbye, Celeste." She walked away as the sun rose over New York, disappearing into the crowd of early morning commuters. Roman sat alone on the bench, watching the city wake up around him. Somewhere across town, his phone was ringing with crisis calls from board members and government officials. Somewhere in a federal facility, Viktor Kozlov was planning his revenge. Somewhere in Moscow, Dmitry Volkov was discovering that his perfect weapon had chosen love over loyalty. But for this moment, Roman Castellano allowed himself to remember the way she looked when she danced, the way she laughed when she thought no one was watching, the way she had whispered his name like a prayer in the darkness of the warehouse. Love was the most dangerous game of all, and for the first time in his life, Roman had played it and lost everything. And somehow, that felt like winning. The end.